The stars beyond Earth's atmosphere looked the same as they always had, but Jake Morrison knew better. For 15 years, humanity had understood the terrible truth. They were not alone in the universe, and the neighbors did not want to meet them. Jake stood on the observation deck of Outpost Sentinel, a space station hidden in the shadow of one of Jupiter's smaller moons. The station had been built in secret, assembled piece by piece over 7 years. Its purpose was simple: listen to the galaxy and stay hidden while doing it. Jake had commanded the outpost for 3 years now, and every day brought new information about the civilizations that filled the space between stars. The Galactic Council was real. 12 different alien species worked together, sharing technology and resources across hundreds of worlds. They had ships that could cross the galaxy in weeks. They had weapons that could crack planets. They had medicine that could cure any disease. And they knew about Earth. They just did not care. Dr. Lisa Grant walked into the observation room carrying a data tablet. Her dark hair was tied back and she looked tired. Lisa spent most of her time in the linguistics lab, translating the endless stream of alien communications that the outpost intercepted. She had learned 7 different alien languages in the past decade. Sometimes Jake wondered if she still dreamed in English. Another council session recording came through, Lisa said. She did not sound excited. These days, the translations rarely brought good news. Jake turned from the window. What are they saying about us this time? Lisa touched the tablet screen and brought up a translation file. The usual. We are primitive. We are violent. We should be avoided. She paused. But there is something new. They are calling us the quarantined zoo now. They think it is funny. Jake felt his jaw tighten. 15 years ago, when Earth's deep space satellites first picked up alien signals, the world had celebrated. Humanity was not alone. First contact would change everything. Scientists and diplomats had prepared speeches and greeting messages in dozens of languages. Artists created symbols meant to represent all of humanity. Musicians composed songs for the stars. Then the translations began. The aliens were not interested in meeting humanity. They thought humans were dangerous animals that needed to be watched but never approached. The Galactic Council had placed Earth under observation centuries ago, long before humans even reached their own moon. Every radio signal Earth had ever sent into space had been collected and studied. The Council knew everything about humanity, from Shakespeare to nuclear weapons. They had decided humans were not ready to join the galaxy. More than that, they had decided humans might never be ready. Play the recording, Jake said quietly. Lisa pressed another button on her tablet. The observation deck speakers crackled to life. The alien voices sounded like a mixture of clicking sounds and musical tones, but the outpost computers had learned to translate them into English. The translation appeared as text on the screen, while a synthetic voice read the words aloud. The Earth species continues to broadcast their primitive entertainment. Signals into space, said the first voice. The computer identified the speaker as a member of the Zorvathi, one of the more militaristic races on the council. They seem completely unaware that anyone is listening. It would be amusing if it were not so pathetic, another voice responded, this one belonging to a species called the Meridani. Their technology advances quickly for such a limited species. Perhaps in another 1,000 years they might develop basic fusion drives. Several alien voices made sounds that the computer translated as laughter. A third voice joined the conversation. The humans still fight each other over resources their planet has in abundance. They poison their own air and water. They have created weapons capable of destroying their entire civilization, yet they point these weapons at each other. Natural selection will likely solve the Earth problem for us. More laughter. We should increase the monitoring drones around their system, the Zorvathi voice said. If they do manage to develop faster-than-light capability, we need to know immediately. Such a violent species cannot be allowed to spread beyond their home star. Agreed, said another voice. The quarantine must hold. Earth will remain in its cage. Lisa stopped the recording. The observation deck fell silent. Jake stared at the Jupiter's moon outside the window. Somewhere beyond that moon, beyond the asteroid belt and the distant ice of the Kuiper Belt, invisible alien drones watched Earth. They had been watching for hundreds of years. Every space launch, every satellite, every human achievement in space was recorded and analyzed by beings who saw humanity as nothing more than clever animals. Has Admiral Carson heard this yet? Jake asked. I sent it to Earth an hour ago, Lisa replied. He will have it by now. Admiral Frank Carson commanded the United Defense Initiative, the secret military organization created after Earth discovered the truth about the galaxy. The UDI had been built quietly over the past 15 years, hidden within existing space programs and military budgets. Most people on Earth still believed humanity was alone in the universe. Only a few thousand people knew about the Galactic Council, and even fewer knew about the insults. The governments of Earth had made a choice 15 years ago. They decided to stay silent. No broadcasts announcing humanity's presence. No attempts at contact. Instead, Earth would listen and learn and prepare. If the galaxy thought humans were primitive, then let them keep thinking that. Humanity would use that time to catch up, and they had caught up faster than anyone expected. Jake's communication panel beeped. He pressed the button and Admiral Carson's face appeared on the screen. The Admiral was in his late 60s with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Captain Morrison, I have reviewed Dr. Grant's translation," Carson said without preamble. "This is the most hostile communication we have intercepted to date." "Yes, sir," Jake replied. "They are talking about increasing surveillance. If they detect any significant advancement in our space capability, they plan to take action. Which means we need to be more careful than ever," Carson said. "The Luna shipyards are almost complete. Once we begin construction on the fleet, there is a risk they might detect the energy signatures." Jake nodded. The Luna shipyards were humanity's biggest secret, a massive construction facility built inside craters on the far side of Earth's moon. The project had taken 10 years and the combined resources of 30 nations. When complete, the shipyards would be capable of building warships equipped with technology the Galactic Council did not know humans possessed. Dr. Marcus Webb's team had done the impossible. Working from scattered clues in intercepted alien communications and building on theoretical physics that Earth scientists had developed independently, Webb had cracked the mathematics behind faster-than-light travel. The quantum drive existed only as a prototype, but it worked. Humanity could reach the stars. The galaxy just did not know it yet. "We have teams working on better stealth technology," Lisa said, stepping closer to the communication screen. "If we can mask the construction signatures, the drones will not detect anything unusual." "Make it a priority," Carson ordered. "In the meantime, continue monitoring all Council communications. I want to know immediately if their attitude toward Earth changes." "Understood, sir," Jake said. The communication ended. Jake and Lisa stood in silence for a moment, both lost in their own thoughts. "Do you think we are doing the right thing?" Lisa asked quietly. "Staying hidden? Building weapons?" Jake considered the question carefully. "What would you suggest instead? Contact them? Ask to join their council?" "They would reject us," Lisa admitted. "Based on everything we have learned about their culture and laws, humanity does not meet their standards for admission." "Right," Jake said. "And if we reveal that we have faster-than-light technology, they will see us as a threat. The Zorvathi would probably push for immediate military action. So we stay hidden and build our strength," Lisa said. It was not a question. "We stay hidden," Jake confirmed. "And when the time comes when we are ready, we will introduce ourselves to the galaxy on our own terms." Lisa nodded slowly. She looked down at her tablet, scrolling through more translations. "There is something else in the recordings," she said. "Something you should hear. More insults? Worse." Lisa found the file she was looking for and played it. The synthetic voice began speaking again, translating another council conversation. This one was from a session held just days ago. "The Earth quarantine has been successful for 700 years, said an unfamiliar alien voice. "However, the species' technological growth rate is concerning. At their current pace, they may develop warp-capable vessels within the next century. Then we extend the quarantine," the Zorvathi voice responded. "We establish a permanent exclusion zone around their star system. Any human vessel that attempts to leave their system will be destroyed automatically." "That may be insufficient," another voice added. "A permanent solution should be considered. If the species cannot be safely integrated into galactic civilization, perhaps they should be prevented from advancing further." Jake felt ice run through his veins. "Are they talking about what I think they are talking about?" Lisa met his eyes. "They are debating whether to stunt humanity's technological development. Some council members want to use electromagnetic pulse weapons to 6 months had passed since the weapons platform entered Earth's solar system, and Commander Ryan Foster was about to get closer to it than any human had before. His ship, the Phantom, moved through space without making a sound. Of course, there was no sound in space anyway, but the Phantom was special. It did not leave heat signatures. It did not emit radiation. It did not reflect light in ways that sensors could detect. As far as the universe was concerned, the Phantom did not exist. Ryan loved his ship. Distance to the target? He asked quietly. His crew was small, just 4 people total. Lieutenant Dan Cooper handled sensors and weapons. Katie Mills managed navigation and propulsion. Ben Shaw handled communications and electronic warfare. They were the best stealth team in the UDI fleet. 200 kilometers in closing, Dan reported from his station. The drone has not changed its scanning pattern. It does not know we are here. Ryan smiled slightly. The Galactic Council thought they had the most advanced technology in the galaxy. They had been wrong about that for a while now. They just did not know it yet. The weapons platform was massive, roughly the size of a football stadium. It hung in space just beyond Mars's orbit. Its sensors pointed toward Earth. According to the analysis teams back home, the platform carried enough firepower to destroy every satellite around Earth in a single coordinated strike. It also had electromagnetic pulse weapons powerful enough to shut down electrical grids across entire continents. The Council had not activated it yet, but its presence sent a clear message. Earth was being watched more closely than ever. One wrong move and the hammer would fall. "I have a visual," Katie said, pulling up an image on the main screen. The platform looked organic somehow, with curves and flowing lines instead of the hard angles human ships used. It was covered in sensor arrays that constantly swept the space around Earth, cataloging every satellite, every space station, every piece of human technology in orbit. "Beginning close-range scan," Dan said. "Let us see what this thing can really do." The Phantom drifted closer, its sensors probing the alien technology. Information flowed across multiple screens. Power systems, weapons capabilities, communication arrays, everything was recorded and analyzed. Ryan watched the data scroll past. The platform was impressive, no doubt about that. But it was also older technology than he had expected. Dr. Marcus Webb had been right. The Galactic Council had not innovated in centuries. They had achieved a comfortable level of technology and then stopped pushing forward. Why improve when you were already the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy? Humanity, on the other hand, had been innovating desperately for 15 years straight. Fear was an excellent motivator. "I am picking up new transmissions," Ben said suddenly. "The platform is receiving orders from Council space. Routing the signal through translation now." The familiar synthetic voice began speaking, converting alien languages into English. "Observation Platform 7. This is Council Command. We are implementing Protocol 15 regarding the Earth quarantine. You are authorized to deploy scanning drones into the human system's inner planets." Ryan felt his stomach tighten. Scanning drones inside Earth's orbit meant the Council was escalating their surveillance. "Acknowledged, Council Command," a different voice replied. This one came from the platform's artificial intelligence. "Deploying drones in 3 cycles." The transmission ended. "Captain, if they deploy drones closer to Earth, they might detect some of our hidden facilities," Katie said with concern in her voice. "The Luna shipyards put out a lot of energy. Even with our stealth measures, close-range scans might pick up anomalies." Ryan made a decision. "Ben, I want you to plant a monitoring bug on that platform. Something small enough that their security scans will not find it. I want to hear every transmission they send and receive." "On it," Ben replied. He worked his controls and a tiny device, barely larger than a grain of rice, shot out from the Phantom on a tiny thruster. It traveled the distance to the platform in seconds and attached itself to the hull, hidden in the shadows of a sensor array. "Bug is active and transmitting," Ben confirmed. "We will hear everything they say." "Good," Ryan said. "Katie, take us home. Nice and slow. No sudden movements." The Phantom began drifting away from the platform, still invisible to every sensor the aliens had. 3 hours later, Ryan was sitting in Admiral Carson's office back on Earth. The Admiral had reviewed Ryan's report and was not happy about what he read. "Scanning drones in Earth's inner orbit," Carson said, shaking his head. "They are tightening the noose." "Yes, sir," Ryan agreed. If they get detailed scans of the moon, they will definitely notice the shipyards. We have stealth measures in place, but they were designed to fool sensors at a distance, not close-range inspection. Carson stood up and walked to the window. His office was in Colorado, buried deep inside a mountain. Outside, the world went about its normal day, completely unaware that humanity's future was being decided in secret meetings and hidden bases. Dr. Webb's team completed the second quantum drive prototype yesterday, Carson said. Testing begins next week. If it works, we will have faster-than-light capability. That is good news, Ryan said. It would be, Carson replied, except we are not ready to reveal ourselves yet. The fleet is only 30% complete. We have quantum drives for maybe 6 ships right now. 6 ships against the entire Galactic Council fleet. 6 invisible ships, Ryan pointed out. Sir, our stealth technology is generations ahead of their sensor capability. We could do a lot of damage with 6 ships if we had to. Carson turned to face him. I hope it does not come to that, Commander. War with the Galactic Council would be a disaster even if we won. But if they force our hand, he left the sentence unfinished. Ryan understood. Humanity would fight if they had to. The alternative was accepting permanent imprisonment or worse, the destruction of Earth's technological civilization. Either option was acceptable. Has Dr. Grant found anything new in the Council transmissions? Ryan asked. She has, Carson said grimly. He pressed a button on his desk and a recording began playing. The synthetic translation voice filled the room. This recording was from a council session held just 2 days ago. The Earth situation requires a permanent solution, said a voice identified as belonging to Ambassador Krevtar of the Zorvathi. Temporary quarantine measures are insufficient. The human species shows no signs of reducing their violent tendencies. If anything, they have become more technologically advanced in recent decades. What do you propose? Another voice asked. A containment field, Krevtar responded. We surround their entire star system with a network of quantum inhibitors. Any ship attempting to leave their system will find their engines non-functional. Earth becomes a closed system. The humans can do whatever they want within their own solar system, but they will never reach the stars. Ryan felt anger rising in his chest. A prison. They wanted to turn Earth's solar system into a prison. That seems extreme, a different voice said. This one sounded more reasonable. The containment field technology is expensive and requires constant maintenance. Can we justify such measures? Can we justify not taking such measures? Krevtar shot back. Look at their history. Constant warfare. Environmental destruction. They developed nuclear weapons and immediately used them against each other. This is not a species that can be trusted with interstellar travel. The Zorvathi make a valid point, another voice added. Human expansion into the galaxy could destabilize established civilizations. Better to contain them now than fight them later. I propose we vote on the measure, Krevtar said. All in favor of establishing a permanent quantum containment field around the Sol system? There was a pause in the recording. The measure passes with 10 votes in favor and 2 abstentions, a voice announced. The containment field project will begin construction immediately. Estimated completion time is 5 standard cycles. The recording ended. Ryan stared at Admiral Carson. 5 standard cycles. How long is that in Earth time? Dr. Grant estimates about 14 months, Carson replied. A little over a year. A year until they lock us in forever, Ryan said quietly. Carson nodded. Unless we do something about it first. Over the next few weeks, the situation continued to deteriorate. The scanning drones deployed closer to Earth, and while they had not yet detected the Luna shipyards, it was only a matter of time. The monitoring bug Ryan had planted on the weapons platform transmitted constant updates. The news was never good. Helen Park sat in a conference room with representatives from 30 different nations. As the head of Earth's diplomatic corps, Helen had spent years preparing for the day when humanity would make first contact with alien civilizations. She had studied alien cultures, learned about council protocols, and prepared countless greeting scenarios. None of her preparations had included crashing the party uninvited. But that was the situation they found themselves in now. The council is building a prison around our entire solar system, said President Claire Matthews. She was addressing the room but looking at Helen specifically. Our intelligence suggests we have less than a year before it is operational. Once that containment field is active, humanity will be trapped here forever. We need options. Helen had been thinking about this problem for months. We could try. The Galactic Council chamber on Vex Prime was a marvel of architecture. The building rose from the planet's surface like a crystal mountain, its walls made from a transparent material that showed the stars beyond. Inside the main hall, representatives from 12 different species sat in a circular arrangement. Each delegation elevated on platforms that rotated slowly to give everyone equal time facing the center speaker. Kevin Barnes watched the proceedings through multiple screens in his intelligence office, located 15 light-years away on Outpost Sentinel. Kevin had been with UDI Intelligence for 8 years, and he had become very good at predicting council behavior. What he was watching now made his blood run cold. The Centennial Summit happened once every 100 Earth years. It was the council's most important gathering, where major policy decisions were made and long-term strategies were set. This year's summit had been in session for 3 days, and the primary topic of discussion was Earth. Kevin adjusted the translation feed and listened as Ambassador Krevtar of the Zorvathi took the center platform. Honored delegates, Krevtar began, his voice translated into smooth English by the computer. We gathered today to make a decision that will echo through centuries. The question before us is simple. What do we do about Earth? The delegates stirred. Some leaned forward with interest. Others consulted with their advisors. For 700 years we have observed the human species, Krevtar continued. We have watched them develop from primitive tool users to a species capable of basic spaceflight. Throughout this time, we have maintained a policy of non-interference, believing that eventually they might mature into a civilization worthy of contact. He paused for effect. That time has not come. If anything, recent observations suggest it never will. Kevin made notes as Krevtar spoke, flagging sections that President Matthews would need to see. Humans continue to wage war against each other. The Zorvathi ambassador said, they poison their own planet. They create weapons of mass destruction. Every attempt they make to reach beyond their world is driven by competition and conflict, rather than cooperation and curiosity. This is not a species guided by wisdom. This is a species guided by base instincts and territorial aggression. Another delegate raised a manipulator appendage, requesting to speak. The council chairman recognized her. Ambassador Krevtar speaks with passion but not with complete accuracy, said Ambassador Vesa of the Meridani. Her species was known for scientific achievement and careful thinking. Human technological advancement has been remarkable. In just 2 centuries, they have progressed from basic steam engines to nuclear fusion. Such rapid development suggests significant intellectual capacity. Intellectual capacity used for destructive purposes, Krevtar shot back. What does it matter how intelligent they are if they use that intelligence to create better weapons? The point is valid, another voice added. Kevin identified the speaker as a member of the Takari, a species that valued military strength above all else. Intelligent and aggressive is a dangerous combination. Such a species cannot be allowed to spread beyond their home system. Kevin felt his stomach tighten. The conversation was going exactly where he feared it would go. Then we are in agreement, Krevtar said, satisfaction clear in his translated voice. The containment field project must proceed. I call for a formal vote on the permanent quarantine of the Sol system. Wait, Ambassador Vesa said quickly. This is too important a decision to rush. Let us discuss all options before we vote. What other options exist? Krevtar demanded. We cannot ignore them. We cannot integrate them into galactic society in their current state, and we certainly cannot allow them to develop faster than light travel. Containment is the only logical choice. The debate continued for another hour. Some delegates argued for more observation time. Others suggested subtle interference to slow human technological development. A few even proposed offering limited contact to guide humanity toward more peaceful behaviors. But Krevtar had built his coalition well. The militaristic species supported containment out of security concerns. The more advanced, peaceful species supported it because they believed it was for humanity's own protection. Only Ambassador Vesa and one other delegate continued to argue against the measure. Finally, the council chairman called for a vote. Kevin watched. His hands clenched into fists as one by one the delegates signaled their positions. The voting system used colored lights. Blue for approval, red for rejection, yellow for abstention. The chamber filled with blue lights. The measure passes with 11 votes in favor and 1 abstention, the chairman announced. The permanent containment field around the Sol system is hereby authorized. Construction will proceed with highest priority. Estimated completion remains at 5 standard cycles. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some delegates congratulated Krevtar, others debated the technical aspects of the containment field. A few looked uncomfortable with what they had just approved, but the vote was final. Then Krevtar raised his manipulator appendage again, requesting permission to speak. The chamber quieted. "There is one more matter," the Zorvathi ambassador said. "The humans should be informed of our decision." "Informed?" Ambassador Vesa asked sharply. "We have never contacted them directly." "Why start now?" "Because they should understand their situation," Krevtar replied. "They should know that their imprisonment is not random, but a conscious decision made for the good of all galactic civilizations. Perhaps such knowledge will encourage them to reflect on their behavior. Or it will provoke them," Vesa warned. "Provoke them to do what?" Krevtar asked with what sounded like amusement. "They cannot leave their system. They cannot reach us. What harm can they possibly do?" The chairman considered the suggestion. "How would such a message be delivered?" "In basic mathematical language," Krevtar explained. "Something their scientists can decode. We inform them that their star system is under permanent quarantine. We explain that any attempt to leave will result in their ships being disabled. We make it absolutely clear that humanity's place is on Earth and nowhere else." Kevin could barely believe what he was hearing. The council was not just building a prison. They were going to tell humanity they were prisoners. The chairman called for another vote. This time the measure passed unanimously. Even Ambassador Vesa could not argue against simple communication, though her body language suggested she was not happy about it. "Draft the message," the chairman ordered. "It will be transmitted to Earth within the next cycle." Kevin immediately sent an emergency alert to Admiral Carson and President Matthews. This was beyond escalation. This was the breaking point. 3 hours later, President Claire Matthews stood before a secret joint session of world leaders. The meeting included heads of state, military commanders, and scientific advisors from every nation on Earth. They gathered in a secure facility beneath the Swiss Alps, connected by encrypted video links from around the world. The room was absolutely silent as Matthews played the intercepted recording of the council vote. When it ended, the silence stretched for several seconds. "They voted to imprison us," said Premier Chen from China, his voice flat with shock. "And they are going to tell us about it," added Prime Minister Okonkwo from Nigeria, "like we are children who need to be told to stay in our rooms." "The message will arrive in approximately 8 hours, Admiral Carson reported. "Based on the Council's timeline, they will transmit in basic mathematics aimed at our radio telescopes. They expect our scientists to decode it and inform our governments." "Except we already know," President Matthews said. "We have known about their plans for months. The question is, what do we do about it?" Dr. Marcus Webb stood up from his seat. He looked different than he had just weeks ago. More confident. Less exhausted. His team had achieved something remarkable. "We have 12 operational quantum drives now," Webb announced. "And the Luna shipyards have completed construction of 8 stealth warships. They are not fully armed yet, but they are spaceworthy and equipped with faster-than-light capability." 8 ships, repeated President Martinez from Brazil, "against 3,000. 8 invisible ships that can travel 3 times faster than anything the Council has," Webb corrected. "And we have something else they do not know about. Commander Foster returned from his reconnaissance mission yesterday." "Show them, Commander." Ryan stood and activated a holographic display. A 3-dimensional map appeared, showing the locations of the Council's containment field construction sites. "There are 6 primary construction platforms," Ryan explained. "They are building the containment field in sections like a net around our solar system. Each platform is heavily shielded but not heavily defended. The Council does not believe they need military protection because they think no one would dare attack them." "You are suggesting we destroy these platforms," Prime Minister Sato from Japan said. "It was not a question." "I am suggesting we do more than that," Ryan replied. "I am suggesting we crash their Centennial Summit." The room erupted in shocked conversation. Matthews let it continue for a moment before raising her hand for silence. "Explain," she ordered. Ryan manipulated the holographic display, bringing up an image of Vex Prime and the Council chamber. "The summit continues for another week. The quantum drive did not make noise when it activated, but Jake Morrison felt it anyway. Reality twisted somehow, like the universe was bending around the ship. Color shifted through spectrums that human eyes were not designed to see. Then everything snapped back to normal and they were no longer near Earth. They were 3 light years away. Having crossed the distance in 11 seconds, quantum jump complete, Lieutenant Dan Cooper reported from the sensor station. All systems nominal. No signs of detection. Jake looked around the bridge of his ship, the Liberty. It was one of 8 vessels in humanity's first faster-than-light fleet, built in secret on the far side of the moon, and equipped with technology that the Galactic Council believed humans could not possibly possess. The crew of 42 moved efficiently through their duties, their training taking over despite the historic nature of what they were doing. Status of the other ships? Jake asked. All 7 vessels accounted for. Amy Lou confirmed from the communications station. The Phantom, the Freedom, the Defiance, the Resolute, the Valiant, the Guardian, and the Unity. Commander Foster reports all ships ready for the next jump. Jake pulled up the navigation display. They had planned the route carefully, using multiple short jumps rather than one long one. It reduced the risk of arriving at Vex Prime with mechanical problems. More importantly, it gave them chances to verify their stealth systems were working before they reached the Council's capital world. Begin charging for Jump 2, Jake ordered. Let us make sure nobody has noticed us. The fleet had left Earth 3 days ago. President Matthews had addressed the world, revealing the existence of the Galactic Council and announcing humanity's intention to confront them. The reaction had been mixed. Some people celebrated, others panicked. Most were simply shocked that humanity was not alone and never had been. But there was something else, too. Pride, determination, a collective sense that humanity had been insulted long enough, and it was time to stand up. Jake felt it himself. For 15 years he had listened to the Council's contempt. He had translated their mockery, recorded their insults, and watched them treat humanity like animals in a zoo. Now finally, Earth was responding. They made 6 more quantum jumps over the next 14 hours, each one bringing them closer to Vex Prime. Ryan Foster's ship, the Phantom, ranged ahead of the fleet, using its superior sensor capabilities to scout for Council patrols. They encountered several alien vessels, but none of them detected the human ships. The stealth technology worked perfectly. Final jump in 30 seconds, Dan announced. This one brings us into the Vex Prime system. Jake felt his heart rate increase. This was it. They were about to appear in the heart of the Galactic Council's territory. If anything went wrong now, there would be no escape. They would be alone, deep in enemy space with no hope of reinforcements. All hands, battle stations, Jake ordered. Weapons systems to stand by, shields to ready status. If they detect us, we need to be prepared. The ship's alert status changed from yellow to red. Throughout the Liberty, crew members moved to their combat positions. In the other 7 ships, the same thing was happening. 8 small vessels preparing to face an empire. The quantum drive activated again. Reality twisted, colors shifted, and suddenly they were in orbit around Vex Prime. The planet was beautiful. Blue oceans, green land masses, white clouds drifting across the surface. It looked almost like Earth, except for the massive orbital structures that surrounded it. Space stations, shipyards, defensive platforms, all built on a scale that made Earth's space infrastructure look primitive by comparison. And directly below them, visible even from orbit, was the Council chamber, the crystal mountain that housed the Centennial Summit. Reading multiple contacts, Dan reported, his voice tense, counting over 200 ships in immediate vicinity. Various classes and configurations. Several appear to be military vessels. Any indication we have been detected? Jake asked. Negative. All contacts maintaining standard orbital patterns. No alerts, no changes in behavior. They do not know we are here. Jake allowed himself a small smile. Humanity's engineers had done the impossible. They had built ships that could slip past the Council's defenses undetected. Commander Foster is hailing us on secure channel, Amy said. Jake activated the communication link. Ryan's face appeared on the screen, looking calm despite the insanity of their situation. All ships are in position, Ryan reported. We have formed a perimeter around the Council chamber as planned. Weapon systems are locked on their defense satellites and communication arrays. When you give the word, we can disable their entire orbital infrastructure in less than 60 seconds. Let us hope it does not come to that, Jake replied. but good to know we have the option. How long until the council session begins? 15 minutes according to the schedule Dr. Grant provided. Perfect timing, Jake said. Let us give them a few minutes to get settled. Then we make our entrance. The next 15 minutes felt like hours. Jake watched the sensor displays as alien ships moved about their business, completely unaware that 8 human vessels floated among them like ghosts. He thought about Earth 15 years ago when they first learned they were not alone. He thought about all the insults, all the contempt, all the casual dismissal of humanity's potential. That ended today. Council session is beginning, Amy announced. I am picking up their broadcast signal. Dr. Grant's translation protocols are working. We can hear everything they are saying. Jake activated the audio feed. The familiar synthetic voice filled the bridge, translating the alien languages into English. Honored delegates, we gather for the final day of our Centennial Summit. The council chairman said, Today we address remaining administrative matters and formalize the decisions made during this session, including the Earth Containment Project, Ambassador Krevtar added. Jake recognized his voice immediately. The Zorvathi who had pushed hardest for humanity's imprisonment. Indeed, the chairman confirmed. The containment field construction is ahead of schedule. We anticipate full operational status in 4.2 cycles. Once complete, the Sol system will be permanently isolated. The human species will pose no further risk to galactic stability. Jake glanced at Amy. She nodded. It was time. Open a channel to all ships, Jake ordered. Weapons to active status. Shields to maximum. Prepare to decloak on my mark. The Liberty systems hummed with power. Throughout the ship, weapons platforms came online. Energy flowed into shield generators. In the other 7 ships, the same thing was happening. Channel open, Amy confirmed. All ships ready. Jake took a deep breath. Thousands of years of human history had led to this moment. Everything humanity had achieved. Everything they had survived. Every triumph and tragedy. All of it came down to the next few seconds. All ships, Jake said calmly. Decloak. Now. 8 human warships appeared simultaneously in orbit around Vex Prime. One moment, there was nothing. The next moment, 8 vessels materialized from nowhere, their hulls reflecting the light of Vex Prime's sun. They were positioned in a perfect geometric pattern around the council chamber, close enough to be visible from the surface but far enough to avoid immediate collision with other orbital structures. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Alarms blared throughout the council defense network. Ships scrambled to respond. Communication channels exploded with confused and panicked transmissions. On the surface, the council session came to a stunned halt. Reading massive electromagnetic emissions from the planet, Dan reported. They have detected us. Their defense network is trying to target us but having difficulty maintaining locks. Our electronic countermeasures are working. Multiple contacts changing vectors to intercept, added Katie from navigation. Counting 12, no, 15 military vessels heading our way. Maintain position, Jake ordered calmly. Do not fire unless fired upon. Amy, open a broadcast channel. I want every ship in this system and everyone in that council chamber to hear what I have to say. Channel open, sir. You are broadcasting to the entire planet. Jake stood up from his command chair. He thought about all the speeches that had been planned and practiced for first contact. None of them seemed appropriate now, so he spoke from his heart instead. Greetings, Galactic Council, Jake said, his voice carrying across space to the crystal chamber below. My name is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Liberty. I apologize for arriving without an invitation, but we learned that you were discussing us and felt we should be present for the conversation. On the surface, inside the council chamber, chaos reigned. Security forces rushed to defensive positions. Delegates shouted questions and demands. Ambassador Krevtar stood frozen, staring at the orbital display that showed 8 human ships hovering above like vengeful angels. This is impossible, Krevtar said, his voice barely a whisper. They do not have faster-than-light capability. They cannot be here. And yet we are here, Jake continued, his words echoing through the chamber. We have been listening to your broadcasts for 15 years. We have heard every insult, every mockery, every contemptuous dismissal of humanity's potential. We know you voted to imprison us. We know you planned to send us a message informing us of our cage. The council chairman finally found his voice. Human vessels, you are in... The council chamber had never been so tense. Ambassador Krevtar paced in his delegation area, his body language radiating fury even through the translation of alien physiology. Around him, the other 11 delegations watched the orbital display that showed 8 human ships maintaining perfect formation above Vex Prime. "This is unacceptable," Krevtar declared to the chamber. "The humans have violated our most fundamental laws. They have entered council space without authorization. They have brought warships to our capital world. This demands an immediate military response." Ambassador Vesa of the Meridani remained seated, her posture calm. "A military response against ships we cannot detect until they choose to reveal themselves. A response against a species that developed faster than light travel independently, while we were convinced they were still primitive. Perhaps caution would be wiser than confrontation. Caution is what allowed this situation to develop," Krevtar shot back. "We observed when we should have acted. We debated when we should have contained. Now they are here, threatening us in our own system." "They have not threatened us," said Elder Counselor Vecna, a member of a species known for diplomatic wisdom. His people had advocated for peaceful contact with Earth from the beginning. "They made a demonstration, yes, but they have not fired weapons. They have not attacked. They simply appeared and asked to be heard. Their appearance is itself an attack," insisted Takarn, the military representative of the Takari warrior caste. "They showed us that our defenses are meaningless against their technology. They proved they can strike our homeworlds whenever they wish. That is a threat." "Or," Vesa suggested carefully, "it is a message. They could have revealed their capabilities. By attacking our containment field construction sites, they could have disabled our orbital defenses before revealing themselves. Instead, they simply appeared and asked for recognition. Perhaps we should consider what they are really saying." Jake Morrison listened to the debate from the bridge of the Liberty. Dr. Grant's translation came through crystal clear, and Amy had routed the audio to every ship in the fleet. The human crews listened as their fate was decided light years from Earth. "They are scared," Dr. Lisa Grant observed from her analysis station on Outpost Sentinel. Her voice carried to all 8 ships through the quantum communication network. "The Council built their entire civilization on the assumption of technological superiority. We have shattered that assumption. They do not know how to process it." "Will they accept us or attack us?" President Matthews asked from Earth. She had remained on an open channel with the fleet since the confrontation began. "That depends on which voice wins the argument," Lisa replied. "Krevtar wants to frame this as an invasion. Vesa and Vecna are trying to frame it as a diplomatic opening. The next few minutes will determine everything." In the council chamber, the debate had shifted to military capabilities. Admiral Trell of the Zorvathi Defense Fleet stood at the center platform, presenting tactical assessments. "We have analyzed the human vessels," Trell reported. "Their energy signatures are unlike anything in our database. The stealth technology exceeds our detection capabilities by several generations. As for their weapons, we can only speculate. But if their offensive systems match their defensive systems, they represent a significant threat." "How many ships do they have?" demanded Takarn. "We saw 8 vessels. Surely our fleet of 3,000 can overwhelm 8 ships." "We saw 8 vessels today," Trell corrected carefully. "We have no intelligence on their total fleet strength." "They could have 8 ships or 800. The humans have clearly been building their capabilities in secret for years. We have no reliable data." "Then we need that data," Krevtar insisted. "We mobilize our fleet. We surround these 8 ships and demand they surrender for inspection." "And if they refuse?" Vecna asked quietly. "Then we disable them," Krevtar said flatly. "Capture them if possible. Destroy them if necessary. Thereby proving to Earth that we are exactly the hostile force they fear," Vesa said sharply. "We would justify every defensive measure they have taken. We would transform this standoff into an actual war." Krevtar turned to face her directly. "They started this by building weapons in secret and invading our space." "We started this," Vesa countered, her voice rising, "by treating them with contempt for 15 years, by mocking them, by voting to imprison them without ever speaking to them. The humans responded to our hostility. We are reaping what we sowed." The chamber erupted in arguments. Some delegates sided with Krevtar, calling for strength and military action. Others supported Vessa's call for diplomatic engagement. The chairman struggled to maintain order. Then something unexpected happened. A signal came through from one of the council military ships, the flagship of the Zorvathi Defense Fleet. The transmission was marked urgent priority. "Council Chairman, this is Fleet Commander Sarval," the voice announced. "We have an incident." Every delegate fell silent. The chairman activated the communication link. "Report. 3 of our patrol vessels attempted to achieve weapons lock on the human ships," Sarval explained, his voice tight with barely controlled anger. "Before they could fire, their weapon systems were disabled remotely. All 3 ships are now floating dead in space, completely non-functional. No weapons fire was detected. The human vessels did not move or alter their positions, yet our ships are disabled." The implications hit the council like a physical force. The humans had not only detected the hostile intent, they had responded by disabling 3 military vessels without even appearing to act. It was a demonstration of capability that sent chills through every military officer present. "Are the crews safe?" Vessa asked immediately. "Yes," Sarval confirmed. "Life support and basic systems remain online. Only weapons, engines, and communication arrays were affected. It was surgical and precise, and it happened faster than our sensors could track." Jake had authorized that response personally. When sensors detected the Zorvathi ships attempting to target the Liberty, he had given the order to neutralize them using Earth's cyber warfare capabilities. The human ships had been inside the Council's computer networks since before they decloaked. It had taken less than 3 seconds to disable the hostile vessels. "Let them think about that," General Nina said from Earth, satisfaction clear in her voice. "They just learned they cannot attack us even if they want to." But Jake felt no satisfaction, only tension. Disabling those ships had been necessary to prevent an engagement, but it had also escalated the situation. The Council now knew they were vulnerable in ways they had never imagined. In the Council chamber, the debate had ended. There was no more argument about military options. The humans had answered that question decisively. "Perhaps," Vecna said into the shocked silence, "we should try something we have never done before. Perhaps we should simply talk to them." The chairman considered this for a long moment. Finally, he activated the broadcast system. "Human vessels, this is Council Chairman Velcor. We request direct communication with your leadership. Will you allow a delegation to board your vessels?" Jake looked at President Matthews on his screen. She nodded. "We will do better than that, Chairman," Jake replied. "We will come to you." President Matthews and her delegation are prepared to meet with the Council in person. But we do have one condition. "What condition?" Velcor asked. "That you actually listen," Jake said simply. "For 15 years, you talked about humanity without ever speaking to us. Today that changes." 2 hours later, a small shuttle detached from the Liberty and descended toward Vex Prime. Inside were President Claire Matthews, Ambassador Helen Park, Admiral Frank Carson, Dr. Marcus Webb, and Dr. Lisa Grant. They were making history, becoming the first humans to set foot on an alien world and the first to address the Galactic Council directly. Helen had finally gotten her chance at diplomacy, though not in any scenario she had ever imagined during her training. The shuttle landed outside the council chamber, and the human delegation emerged wearing formal diplomatic attire mixed with visible protective equipment. They had agreed to come unarmed, but they were not fools. If something went wrong, they needed to survive long enough for extraction. A council security detail met them, led by Ambassador Vessa herself. She was tall and elegant, with crystalline features that reflected light in beautiful patterns. When she spoke, her voice carried music. "President Matthews, on behalf of the council, I welcome you to Vex Prime," Vessa said, using carefully practiced English. "I apologize that our first meeting occurs under such strange circumstances." "I appreciate the welcome," Matthews replied with equal formality. "And I appreciate the apology, though it is the council as a whole that owes humanity an apology, not you personally." Vessa made a gesture that the translation software indicated was agreement. "You are correct. and I hope that apology will be offered today. Please follow me. The council is assembled and ready to hear from Earth. They walked through corridors of crystalline beauty, past architectural marvels that human engineering could not yet match. But the humans did not gawk or show weakness. They walked with confidence, representing a civilization that had earned its place among the stars. The council chamber was even more impressive from the inside. The 12 delegations sat in their elevated platforms,